Dear viewers, welcome back to your favorite channel. Now, I'd like us to dissect a certain interview that was held at one of the leading FM stations, and in attendance was George, the ICT person for Azimio One Kenya Alliance. So George takes us to a simple reasoning on why forms submitted by POs did not get received in the format they were sent in. So I took the better part of today trying to decipher his point that revolved around two file formats. One was the JPEG, the other one was the PDF.
Transmission, would there be any reason, I mean, just from what you see, that what you've then transmitted electronically would be different from what you then hand on manually?
Now, that is a question that is being put across even as we speak right now. Is that the original form that were taken a picture from the polling centers were taken using a JPEG file was created, which is a picture. Then they were transmitted to the IEBC portal. What was available at the IEBC portal? What file format was it?
A PDF.
A PDF. At what point did we change the file from a JPEG to a PDF?
I don't know.
So the law, and in line with the Kenya Constitution, let me narrate to you what the law says as far as the submission of this Form 34 is. So in line with the Constitution of Kenya, with respect to presidential elections, is that Form 34As are used in documenting presidential results from the polling stations all the way to the National Tallying Center at the Bomas of Kenya. So at the polling stations, presiding officers enter results in Form 34As. Most importantly, these results cannot be altered as they are final results used to tally the final presidential votes, and that was declared by the Supreme Court. So let me also take you through the process. After the results are announced at the polling station, now that is the process, the presiding officers are tasked to take Form 34As to the constituency tallying centers. Here the ROs, who are now the returning officers, will tally all the results from the polling stations and fill the final tally in Form 34B. So this means there are almost, I think, around 290 Form 34Bs, and these are always submitted to the National Tallying Center, which is the Bomas of Kenya. Now, from a technical angle, the question that I, as a technician, would like to ask myself, can I edit a JPEG file? My answer is a no. A JPEG file cannot be edited directly. However, the change can still happen if allowed into a different format like a PDF, and then save the file again in the original format, JPEG format. I mean, I can convert JPEG to a PDF, edit that file, then convert it back to a JPEG file. So what George said in the interview is that the format that RTS used while sending the Form 34A to the IBC backend was a JPEG, and yet at the receiving end the file was also received in a PDF. So that is where the concern of George is. So dear viewers, allow me to bring you back into an affidavit that was filed by John Githongo. Mr. Githongo alleged that RockTech keys technicians or hackers were granted access to the IEBC systems and manipulated Form 34As coming from polling stations. I shared a video on my previous analysis, and you can find it in my previous videos. That video was shared where there is one of those purported hackers is giving John Githongo information as to the contract that they were given on how to edit these forms to enable one presidential candidate win the elections. So the POs normally submit the result in Form 34As using the RTS system, that is a result transmission system, and the document is saved as an image. So the expectations by many technicians, by many Kenyans, is that the same format that this document is submitted is supposed to be the same format that is being received from the other end. Because remember, IBC said that the documents will not be altered whatsoever. And the courts also said the same. So we expected the document to be received in the JPEG format. And mind you, IBC kept saying that the submitted form is supposed to be received in the same way it was submitted. And from that statement, I think the document is supposed to be received in a JPEG format, ladies and gentlemen. But contrary to that, George's perspective is that each and every JPEG file has a metadata. And he goes to explain that a metadata contains information about that document, that is, when it was created, the source of that creation, the person who created it, and the time and everything. So those information are found in the metadata. So when you change the format to a PDF, then you lose this critical information that will always be used for forensic investigations. So the bone of contention is, why is it that the document was always received in another format and not the original format? That is what George kept asking in that interview, and I agree with him. You see, at the public portal, the document was also always received in a PDF document. I've not gone through that public portal, but I believe that there are people who've gone through it, and you can attest that the document is a PDF document. So let's again analyze the RTS flow. POs enter tally of results in Form 34As, takes a picture of the said Form 34A and submits it to IBC system via the RTS. So the system then receives this document into IBC backend for processing. I think this is where Mr. George, the Azimio ICT chief, has issues with the backend processing, what is being processed. Because from what the flow is, that because the document is being downloaded, it's received as a PDF format, and this, from what we say, does not have the metadata details. So the backend processing, the document is relayed to the public portal and to the IBC National Tallying Center for further tallying and verification and everything. So the bone of contention again is, why is the document not in the original document, so that they can tell the actual details of this document. So John Gidongo comes in with this analogy, or with this perspective of hackers intercepting these documents, edits them, post them back into the IBC system, so that this now can be available to the public portal and to the IBC National Tallying Center. So if what George is saying regarding the documents final format is anything to go by, then there could be a relationship between Gidongo's concern and George's concern, because for you to change the JPEG format, the JPEG file, first you have to convert it to a PDF, then change it to a JPEG back. So hackers could intercept these documents when they get to the back office for processing before the documents become available at the public portal and make the purported changes. So ladies and gentlemen, George's argument is valid. I tend to side with him, because why would IBC keep us in the dark as far as this kind of document conversions? Because they should have made it clear that this was going to happen. Why is the document being received in a PDF and not a JPEG format as communicated or as submitted by the Kimskits? So I think this is where the problem is, ladies and gentlemen. I have shared a video of that conversation with you so that you can get enlightened into that detailed analysis. So ladies and gentlemen, perhaps allow me to wind up there, and perhaps if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please take a moment and subscribe. I was just trying to give you a nutshell of what the George thought about the ICT person for Azimio and the relationship between George and the affidavit of John Gidongo. So ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to our channel if you're a first-time viewer, and you should like to encourage you to be safe, to take care, and until we meet again, please Bye bye.